My neighbor wanted to host a loud DJ party right beside my bedroom wall. I asked her to lower the volume. Her reply? Maybe you shouldn't live somewhere people celebrate. The next morning, my windows were cracked and my dog was missing. I found his collar buried in her garden, along with a note that said, "You took my music. I took your joy." But when I dug deeper beneath her rosebushes. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. Not the super busy part. Just a quiet block near the edge of town where people still say hi when you walk past. I moved here 5 years ago after my divorce. I wanted peace. I needed space. Just me and Jasper, my lab mix. He was the one thing that got me through the divorce and everything after. I work from home. I write technical manuals. It's boring work, but it pays the bills. I don't party. I don't drink. I'm not old, but I'm not young enough to want noise every weekend. So when Simone moved in next door and started acting like she just bought a club, I knew there was going to be a problem. Simone was loud from day one. Literally. The day she moved in, she blasted music from her garage while unloading. At first I didn't say anything. New neighbors, fine. Let her have her moment. But then came the parties. She didn't just invite people over. She brought in DJs, rented lights, put up tents. It looked like a damn wedding reception in her backyard. I'm not exaggerating when I say the DJ table was 15 feet from my bedroom window. That first party went from 9 p.m. until nearly 5 a.m. The bass was so deep my dresser rattled. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep. I walked over the next morning. I was calm. I wasn't looking for a fight. "Hey, Simone," I said, trying to smile. "Just wanted to ask if you could keep the volume a little lower next time. My bedroom's right there, and I didn't get much sleep." She looked at me like I was dirt under her shoe. Then she said, "Maybe you shouldn't live somewhere people celebrate." That's all she said. Then she turned around and kept picking up plastic cups. I stood there for a second, stunned. I should have said more. I didn't. I just walked back home. The next weekend she did it again. This time it was even louder. Cars lined the street. People parked halfway onto my lawn. Someone threw up near my fence. And still I didn't report her. I told myself I'd deal with it. That maybe she'd calm down. She didn't. After the third party, I knocked again. This time, she didn't even answer. Just cranked the volume louder, like she was mocking me. I thought about calling the cops, but I knew how that could go. It would just turn into a fight. So I waited. Then one Monday morning, I woke up and noticed something strange. My bedroom windows, 3 of them, had cracks. Not just small chips. Full spiderweb fractures, like someone had hit them with a rock. I checked my security camera, but the footage from the night before was wiped. Just blank. I didn't know how. I didn't even know it could be done unless someone accessed the app directly. I was pissed, but I could handle broken glass. What I couldn't handle was Jasper going missing. He'd been outside earlier that morning. Same as always. He never wandered far. Usually stayed close, just sniffed around and did his business. But after 15 minutes, I didn't see him. I called out. Walked the yard. Walked the street. No sign. By noon I was panicking. Jasper had never run off. He was trained. He knew better. I walked door to door. Nothing. Then I saw something. One of Simone's rosebushes looked off. She was crazy about those roses, always trimming them, watering them. But this one had loose dirt near the base, like someone had dug and didn't clean it up well. I went back to my garage. Grabbed a hand trowel and gloves. I waited until she left around 3 p.m. Then I walked into her yard like I belonged there. I knelt down and dug carefully around the roots. It didn't take long. I hit something hard. Plastic. It was Jasper's collar. Blue, with his silver ID tag. I knew it the second I saw the scratch on the P. I held it in my hand and just stared. Then I found something else, taped to the bottom of a flat rock under the dirt. It was a folded note. You took my music. I took your joy. That's what it said. Nothing else. I stood up, collar in one hand, note in the other. My brain was spinning. I didn't even cry. I just felt cold. But something inside me snapped. I went home. Locked my doors. Closed the blinds. I didn't call the police. Not yet. Because something told me that wasn't everything buried in her garden. That night I went back. This time I had a real shovel. I dug deeper. And what I found next, it wasn't just about Jasper. It was something else. Something worse. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the dark with Jasper's collar in my hand, the note in my lap. Every time I thought about what it meant, I felt sick. I wanted to believe it was a sick joke. But I knew it wasn't. The way she said, "Maybe you shouldn't live somewhere people celebrate." The way she ignored me. The way the camera footage vanished. None of it felt like a joke anymore. Around 2 a.m., I went back out with a shovel, flashlight, and gloves. Her backyard was quiet. The moon lit just enough of the garden for me to see where I'd dug earlier. I didn't care if she saw me. I didn't care if anyone saw me. I needed answers. I started digging under the same rosebush, going deeper this time. Past where the collar had been. 6 inches down, I hit something soft. I stopped. Pulled it up slowly. It was a small stuffed bear, mud-covered, missing an ear. At first, I didn't understand. Then I saw the initials on the tag stitched to the arm. MH. That didn't belong to me. It didn't belong to anyone I knew. I set it aside and kept going. Another 6 inches down, I hit something else. A small metal box. It looked old. Like a cigar box. Rusted shut. I pried it open with a screwdriver I'd brought from the garage. Inside were photographs. Old ones. One was of a little girl sitting on a swing set. Another was of the same girl with a big black dog, looked like a German shepherd. The next few photos were different. They showed a backyard, but it wasn't Simone's. It was a rundown place with overgrown grass and broken fencing. Then there was a picture of Simone. Younger. She was maybe 15. Standing alone. No smile. Just blank eyes. There was also a folded paper tucked into the box. It was wet and smelled like dirt. I unfolded it carefully. The ink had smeared, but I could still read most of it. Don't let them take what's yours. Make them feel it. Every single time. There was no name. No date. I sat there in the dirt, staring at those words, trying to make sense of them. What the hell was this? Then I heard something. Footsteps. I killed the flashlight and crouched. I couldn't see anyone, but I felt it. Someone was watching. I waited. Still. Silent. After a minute, the footsteps stopped. But I didn't move. Finally, I backed out of the hole, covered what I could with dirt, and crept back home. I didn't sleep. In the morning, I called animal control and made a missing dog report. I didn't mention Simone. Not yet. Something in me said this was deeper than a noise complaint or a stolen pet. That same afternoon, I checked my mailbox. Inside was a small envelope. No return address. No stamp. Just my name in handwriting that looked shaky. I opened it. Inside was a single photo. It was Jasper. Alive. He was tied to a chain-link fence in some alley. The photo was time-stamped, just 2 days ago. There was no note, no message, nothing else. Just the photo. My hands started shaking. I scanned every alley in the picture, every landmark I could spot. There was a rusty dumpster in the background with Wilcox Hauling printed on the side. I looked it up. It was a local waste company based across town. I drove there. No plan. Just hope. When I got there, I started driving around the blocks nearby. Checking every alley. On the 3rd Street I saw it. The same dumpster. Same chain link fence. Same alley. But no Jasper. I got out and searched anyway. I called his name. Looked behind every trash bin and broken pallet. Nothing. Then I found a pile of food scraps, chicken bones, greasy fries, dumped behind a half-burned mattress. And right next to it, more paw prints. I followed them down the alley. Around a corner. To a shed behind an abandoned house. The lock had been smashed. I opened the door. The smell hit me first, wet fur, old food, mold. Then I saw him. Jasper. Skinny. Dirty. But alive. He didn't even bark. Just wagged his tail weakly and stumbled toward me. I dropped to my knees and hugged him. I don't cry easy. But I cried then. After a minute, I picked him up and got him into the truck. I didn't take him home right away. I took him to the vet. He had a cracked rib. Dehydration. Nothing fatal, but bad enough that they kept him overnight. And while he was there, I made a decision. Simone didn't just take my peace. She didn't just take my sleep. She stole Jasper. She buried a note like it was a game. She planted secrets in her garden like they were trophies. And I was done waiting. If she wanted war, she was going to get it. But not the kind she expected. I didn't call the cops. I called someone else. Someone I hadn't spoken to in 10 years. My brother Dean. And Dean doesn't call police either. My brother Dean and I haven't spoken much since our dad died. He went one way, I went another. But when I told him what happened with Simone, what I found buried under her rosebushes, he didn't hesitate. He drove in from Laramie the next day. Dean isn't the kind of guy you call if you want to talk. He's the guy you call when things are already broken and you need someone to break them further. He's worked construction, private security, even bounced for a biker bar in Cheyenne. He has this quiet way of listening, then acting without asking permission. When he got to my place, he didn't even say hello. Just looked me in the eye and said, "Where's the hole?" We went straight to Simone's backyard. This time, we brought tools. Dean brought a ground-penetrating scanner from a friend who owed him a favor. It's the kind of thing you don't ask too many questions about. We waited until 2 a.m. again, no lights, no talking. Just scanning the garden. We found 6 disturbed zones under her rosebushes. 6. One of them we already knew about. The one with the collar and the cigar box. We marked the other 5. Dean looked at me and said, "You sure about this?" I said, "I've never been more sure of anything." We started digging the second hole. About a foot down, we hit something wrapped in plastic. Dean cut through it with a knife. Inside was a shoebox. Moldy, falling apart. Inside that were 3 burnt cell phones, some receipts, and another note, same handwriting as the first. "Don't talk. Don't look back. They all deserve it." Receipts were for strange stuff: rope, duct tape, 2 gas cans. Dated 4 years ago. Bought in Casper, Wyoming. Dean went quiet. He recognized one of the store names. He used to live there. He sat back and muttered, "That's where that girl went missing." "What girl?" He shook his head. "It was in the paper. Teenager disappeared. Cops figured she ran off. Never found her." We kept going. The third hole had something worse. A wooden box. Heavier than the last. It had a lock, but Dean pried it open. Inside was a stack of journals. Written in Simone's handwriting. We didn't read them right there. We covered the holes, went back to my place, and opened one. It started like a regular diary. Then it got dark. The entries were about noise complaints. Angry neighbors. People who looked down on her. The language shifted slowly, from petty to violent. She talked about how people needed to be corrected. About reminding them who owns the space. She mentioned animals. Dead ones. One she took from people who disrespected her peace. And then there was an entry dated just 2 weeks before Jasper disappeared. He thinks he can silence me. That mud barks too much anyway. I'll shut them both up. Dean slammed the book shut. This woman's sick, he said. And he was right. But we still didn't understand how deep it went. So we started watching her. We took shifts. Mornings. Afternoons. Nights. We saw her doing things that didn't make sense, digging at night, sitting alone in her backyard whispering to herself. She'd leave her house at odd hours, come back with bags she'd carry straight into the garage. Dean said, "She's not throwing parties anymore. She's preparing for something." He was right. The next weekend, I heard a knock on my door. It was Mrs. Elkins from across the street. She was holding a leash. "This yours?" It was another dog collar. Not Jasper's. Smaller. Pink. Name tag said, "Bitsy." I shook my head. "No, but where did you find it?" "By Simone's trash bins. Just lying there." Then she leaned in close. "My cat's missing. Been 2 days. That was it for me." I called Dean. "We dig the rest tonight. All of them." We waited until Simone left just after 10 p.m. She always drove to some place on the edge of town, small bar near the railroad tracks. Dean followed her, just in case. I stayed behind and started digging the 4th hole. It didn't take long. Another metal box. Inside were Polarids. Dozens of them. Some were animals, cats, dogs, rabbits. Some were harder to understand. People's faces. Some circled in red ink. I recognized one. Mr. Chandler from 2 houses down. He'd died last year. Heart attack, supposedly. Then I saw the back of the photo. In red ink. Too much yelling. Dean called me as I was staring at it. "She's on her way back. Get out." I covered what I could and ran. Next morning, Simone was outside. Just standing in her yard, staring at the rosebushes. Not doing anything. Just staring. For a long time. Then she looked up. Right at my window. And smiled. That's when I knew. She knew we'd been digging. She wasn't hiding anymore. And that meant she had something else planned. Something worse. The next few days were like walking on glass. I barely slept. I kept the blinds closed, the lights off, and Jasper right next to me. He was still weak, but getting better. Every sound outside made my heart jump. I knew Simone knew. And I knew she wouldn't just let this go. Dean stayed on my couch with his old Glock tucked under the cushion. He slept light. Every creak, every car door, every bump in the night, he was up, checking windows, pacing like a guard dog. Then came the fire. It was a Thursday morning, just before sunrise. I smelled the smoke before I saw the flames. My shed, where I kept the shovel, tools, old boxes, was fully on fire. I ran out with a hose. Dean called 911. By the time the fire trucks got there, it was mostly ash. The fire chief said it was probably electrical. Dean and I knew better. And that was it. We were done waiting. Dean said, "We take this to the police. Tonight. Everything." I nodded. But part of me felt sick. Not fear, guilt. Why didn't I go to the cops sooner? Why didn't I report her the first time she ignored me? Why did I let it go when Jasper disappeared? Somewhere along the way, I started handling things like her. Digging. Watching. Hiding. But we went to the police. We brought the notes, the collar, the photos, the journals. Even the receipts. They took it seriously. At least one detective did. His name was Harper. Middle-aged, calm, didn't smile much. But he listened. He asked the right questions. He told us we weren't the first. Turns out, there were complaints about Simone going back 5 years. In different cities. Same pattern, noise complaints, animals gone missing, neighbors moving away suddenly. But no one ever had proof. No one ever dug. We did. Harper said they'd start a full investigation, but they couldn't arrest her yet. Not without a body. Not without hard evidence linking her to a crime. Dean and I both knew that meant one thing. We had to dig the last hole. That night, Dean kept watch while I dug. Hole number 6 was the deepest. It took 2 hours to reach the bottom. When the shovel hit something solid, I stopped. It was a suitcase. Large. Heavy. I dragged it out. My hands were shaking. Dean helped me open it. Inside was what we feared, and what we needed. Bones. Small. Wrapped in a pink blanket. There was a bracelet around one wrist. Plastic. With beads spelling out a name. My. Dean stepped back and whispered, "Jesus." I didn't say anything. I just called Harper. Told him to get there now. By the time the police arrived, Simone was gone. She had fled. They found her car parked behind a gas station near the state line. Empty. Doors unlocked. No trace of her. But she didn't stay hidden long. A trucker recognized her at a rest stop outside Denver the next day. She was trying to hitch a ride west. Cops got her that night. She fought them. Bit one of them hard enough to draw blood. They had to restrain her in the back of the squad car. She kept repeating something over and over. "She took my music. She took my sound." The case went public fast. They matched the bracelet to a missing girl from Cheyenne, Mia Holbrook. Gone 4 years. Simone had been questioned back then but not charged. Now they had proof. When they searched Simone's garage, they found more. A list. Written in red ink. My name was on it. So was Dean's. So was Mr. Chandler's. So were 3 others, neighbors who had moved suddenly. One had even faked a job transfer. He later told police he felt watched, followed, hunted by Simone. She's in jail now. No bail. Multiple counts: animal cruelty, arson, abuse of a corpse, possible murder. They're still investigating. Jasper is safe. He sleeps beside me every night again. But he's different now. More alert. Jumps at loud noises. Watches the back door like he knows it isn't over. And me? I still hear bass sometimes. Not real music, just the echo of it. That low, heavy thump from her backyard. I don't know if it's in my head, or if it's just what trauma does to a person. Harper called me last week. He told me something that still haunts me. They found a note in Simone's mattress, hidden in the foam. It was a list of names. Next to mine, she wrote one word: silence. Next to Dean's: Barry. And next to Jasper's: take. I didn't respond to Harper. I just walked out into my backyard. Looked at the roses that were never really hers. Then I dug up every single one. Burned them in the fire pit. And salted the soil. Because some things shouldn't grow back. And some neighbors shouldn't get second chances.